welcome to another episode of Gal and Kitten Knittin. This is episode number 2.
Yes.
And we are so happy that you came back to see us.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you everyone who watched and subscribed, and we really appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. And if you would like to subscribe, just make sure to hit that link below to subscribe to our channel, Gal and Kitten Knittin. We love having you guys here, and it'll update you guys when we have our new videos, which we were hoping is going to be every 2 weeks.
Yes, that's the plan.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about you.
I am Kitten. I am Space Kitten 3000 on Twitter, Ravelry, as well as Instagram. I also go by Heather, Kitten, Space Kitten, you know, whatever. What about you?
And my name is Chelsea. I also go by Gally Alvia, as you heard in the first episode. That is a nod to my gaming heritage. Nerd.
Just kidding.
Yeah,
we're both nerds.
Just a little bit. So Gally Alvia, and I'll put the spelling down here for you. You can also find me on Instagram, Ravelry, and Twitter as well under that username. Make sure to friend me. Make sure to follow me. I love seeing everything that you guys do. So it's wonderful to get that interaction going.
Yes, please do.
Absolutely.
We love it.
So let's go ahead and just dive right into this, our finished objects.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
I have 0 finished objects. Absolutely 0.
So tell me about what was going on the last couple of weeks.
Well, my work schedule changed just slightly temporarily, which has made me very, very tired in the evenings when I would usually knit. So I've just wanted to veg out and really not do anything.
It's so hard to sit there and knit whenever you're not focused on it, and the last thing you want to have to do is rip out when you don't want to.
Right.
So.
And I just couldn't, I was trying, but I couldn't focus on one thing. I kept going here and there and there, and so I felt like I was getting nowhere.
Sure.
So it got better this weekend though. I felt like I made progress on some stuff. And once my work schedule returns to normal, I'll be back on my normal routine and won't be so tired in the evening.
Sure.
So yeah.
Looking forward to some more knit time.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, so I finished nothing and worked. I made progress on some stuff, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
What about you?
So
Did you have a good knitting week?
I actually had a fairly decent knitting week. I finally got done with my tea leaf sweater.
Yes, it looks so good, you guys. I wish you could see it in person. It looks so good.
Yeah, I'm super excited by this. But the knit along actually started back in I think September it was, and it was supposed to go for 6 weeks. For various reasons, I wasn't able to stick with that timeline. So,
we talked about last time how that seemed like a fast timeline too.
It was a very fast timeline. But you know, I finished my first sweater. You guys, how exciting is that?
Yeah.
My very first sweater.
And it wasn't like easy breezy sweater. I mean, this is like a real deal, like intricate detail sweater.
Got some lace going on. You got your stockinette, got some pockets, and so it was a very good learning experience for me. But it did take some time, and I'm excited that it's done, and I've been living in it the last few days since I finished it. So
you should be so proud because it looks really, really good, and you worked really hard on it, and it wasn't an easy cardigan. So
it was not.
I'm very proud of you because I have not knit a cardigan.
Aw, thank you. So tell me about what's going on. I know we don't have any finished works for you, but what are you working on?
Well, I'm still working on the 7 and Zeros Shawlette by ffrench. I made pretty good progress on that, but I'm kind of just knitting it to where as long as and big as I want it to be, and then I'm going to stop. So I don't really know how far I am into it. I'll know when I kind of get there. Yeah. And then the Wonder Woman shawl. I made really good progress on the Wonder Woman shawl, but I've had some hiccups, which I'll talk about later on in the podcast.
Oh no.
It was going so well, and then it wasn't. So, again, we'll talk about that later.
Okay.
But I had a lot of, well, not a lot, several projects going where it was just like stockinette, like just knit. Mm-hmm. And they were bigger projects. And I needed something that I could kind of get some instant gratification from.
Sure.
That wasn't just a bunch of stockinette stitch. So I started the Prima leg warmers by The Sexy Knitter. And it's a free pattern on Ravelry. And she also has a store on Etsy that has a lot of cute, like, little notions and stuff.
Oh, gosh.
But I haven't gotten really far with it. But I finished the cuff and just started the, these are bottom up. So this will be at the ankle. And you can't even see the pattern yet because I think I only did one round of the pattern. But yeah, just some really cute little leg warmers. This yarn is Dream in Color on their Jilly base, and it's in the colorway My Fair Lady. And this was it was kind of, I got a gift card for Christmas, and this is one of the yarns I got for
I love the
Christmas.
halo that's on it. I didn't notice that before.
Yeah. It's really turning out very pretty. I hope you guys can see all of the pretty colors. But I think I'll really like them. I'll probably just wear them like with boots.
Sure.
So they'll just look like socks or something. But I just think the colors are so pretty. And like I said, I needed something where I could get done pretty quick and kind of do something with a little bit of stitch work. So, and then I kind of was like, oh, so you knit a lot of gray and purple, so you should knit like something, green or red or, something fun.
Something colorful.
Yeah. So I started knitting a taupe cardigan instead.
That's very colorful.
Yeah, right? I don't know. It's just what inspired me at that moment, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I don't have very much at all, because, you're supposed to do 180 rows, and I think I've done 10. Oh. So, I've got quite a ways to go. But this is the Banff, Banff cardigan by the Blue Mouse. And I'm using Lion Brand yarn in the Touch of Alpaca, which it's alpaca and acrylic, but it's really soft. Like, I'm surprised about how soft it is, seeing how it has acrylic in it. Mm-hmm. But you need like 1,400 yards or something, and so I didn't want to buy like a bunch of super pricey yarn because I didn't want to pay $200 for yarn on a cardigan. So I just got this at Michael's, but I'm really liking the way it's knitting up. So far I'm just doing like a seed stitch. It's worsted weight on size 11 needles. But yeah, I'm really liking the way it's knitting up, and the colorway is taupe. So no bright green cardigan, but I've got a taupe one started. So, yeah.
I might have to buy you some bright green just
to
like force you into
I did buy some dark red though. So that's at least, I mean, it's still dark, but at least it's not like gray or purple, which is what I have been knitting. A little bit of a variation there for you. So yeah, I did buy some red, so you'll probably see that next time. Awesome. But that's all I'm working on right now. I've got 4, which is actually a lot.
That's quite a few.
But, yeah, what about you? What are you working on now that you've done with that?
So we talked a little bit about the long weekend cardigan. So I didn't show it last week, so I'll show it to you guys this week. This is the left front. It's a basket rib stitch. I've already got the back done and the right side done, so now I'm working on the left side. I have been working on this for several months.
This is one of the first things you started.
One of the very first things that I started.
When you learned how to knit, right?
Yeah, I kind of went with the harder one first, finishing the harder one first, and then doing this one second. So, yeah, finishing up the tea leaf sweater kind of gave me the impetus, the gravitas to keep moving.
To try to do it,
Yeah, exactly. So
isn't this one really long? Is this one supposed to go like below the knee?
I don't know that it's supposed to go below the knee, but it's supposed to go, I think, about to the knee. I am so short, you guys. I'm only 5'2", that it probably will go to or below the knee because I'm doing it in the full size for it. So I'm not very good about altering my patterns yet. And I'm sorry, you guys, I have animals. I work at a veterinary office. And so I'm sitting here like picking little hairs off of this. So if you guys have any tricks or tips for keeping the fur off of your yarn, please let me know, because I'm just going to sit here and keep doing this.
Yeah, me too. I have a dog and it just happens.
I have a dog and a cat, and I take this to work to sit there and knit. So, so I've got the long weekend cardigan going it's by Patons. I said it wrong last time, but Patons did it through Yarnspiration. And then I am also working on the Knit Night Shawl by Debbi Stone. I will tell you, okay, so Kitten mentioned in her last podcast, that she is working, or it has queued up a Knit Night Shawl. So whenever I was looking for the information on that Knit Night Shawl, I came across this other Knit Night Shawl. It's a different pattern completely. But it spoke to me and it grabbed me, and I just...
That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to inspire you.
I had to start it. So I'm doing it in the WIP Yarns Out of This World colorway on their sock rock base.
The colors are really pretty. I like it.
It's really pretty in this. I will say, though...
It feels really good, too.
It does feel really good. The pattern that's in this, there is a pattern. You can't really see it on this variegated yarn, so you probably, if you want to really represent that pattern, do it on a solid yarn. But I like the way this variegated is knitting up, so I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah, the colors in it make up for you not being able to see the pattern as much, because the colors are so pretty. And when you look close, you can see the little raised stitches and things like that, but it just really looks pretty with all those colors.
Yeah. So again, it spoke to me, and I decided to use that WIP Yarns for this. So I'll have one skein left. So
I was just going to ask that because I knew you had two, so you'll still have one.
I'll still have one.
Well, that way you can still do socks though, because that would be really pretty. That yarn would be really pretty with socks, and you'll have enough. Yes,
that's a very good call. So I guess we've already got a project that I will be doing socks out of the other skein of yarn that I have.
That'll be really nice.
Yep. And I am still working on the No Purls sweater by Michelle Greenberg. I'm not going to show it to you here since I showed it to you last time, but I am still working on that. It's been less of a focus. So I think what I'm going to try to do is I would like to finish a cardigan every 2 weeks, or one of these sweaters every 2 weeks is what
the ones that you already have cast on.
The ones that I already have cast on. So the long weekend cardigan and the No Purl sweater. I want to try to finish the long weekend cardigan by the next podcast. So hopefully you'll see me wearing it next time. And then the podcast after that, I'm hoping, cross our fingers, to have the No Purls sweater done, because I'm so far into both of them. I just really need to take the time to complete them, so I need to focus more on those. And less on my Knit Night Shawl, which...
Well, I don't know about your blue cardigan that you're doing, but I've done the No Purls sweater, and it's a really easy knit, but it's not the most it's kind of a boring knit.
Yeah, it's not as satisfying to do.
The product is great. Like I made one and I love it, and it turns out great, but you're just doing knit stitches for everything, and then you seam it up. So it's not a very engaging pattern. Right. So if it's great if you have like a show that you want to binge watch, or, I know you guys watch football and things like that. Like if you just want to watch TV, or you have company and you want something that you don't really have to think about, that you can just do, it's great for that. And
I actually have really focused on that pattern more when watching football, actually. You're right. It is great for that kind of interaction when I'm not having to pay attention to it.
I knit mine and watched all 3 seasons of Penny Dreadful.
There you go.
That's what I did while I knit that, was watch Penny Dreadful, and then by the time I was done with the show. All I had to do was seam it up.
I need to catch up on Doctor Who, so maybe this is a good time for me to do that.
It's great for that. But if you're wanting something a little more engaging, that is not the pattern to go for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are our works in progress. I know that whenever we spoke about cues last time, I was going to hold off on the cue until I got my sweaters done. You guys, there's just too many patterns out there that just call to you. So
I have so many, like, I will buy patterns. I will just buy patterns because I want to read them.
She's getting a collection going.
I do. And so then I can buy them and then think about how they're knitted, and then I can think about what yarn I want to get. I have a pattern problem.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Not yet.
Yeah,
We're getting there.
It's true.
So tell me, what are you queued up?
Since I have 4 whips right now, I feel like my hands are a bit full.
Sure.
So I don't have a lot queued up. And actually, I feel bad because the last podcast, I had mentioned the knit night shawl and the sockhead hat, which I have done neither. The yarn I was going to use for the sockhead hat, I actually ended up using for the leg warmers. And the reason being, I didn't want to do miles of stockinette stitch that the sockhead hat requires.
Sure.
I still plan on using the Tricked Out You yarn for the knit night shawl, but I was already knitting 2 shawls and I didn't want to add a 3rd to that. I wanted something different. So I really just want to focus on getting at least a couple of my whips done. But I do have one thing queued, and I'll actually need your help. I have some red yarn ordered. It's worsted weight. It's deep red, and I really want to make a turban style hat, so that I can pretend like I'm a fortune teller. And I really, if you guys have any suggestions on patterns for that, I've looked at some. But they haven't, the thing is I have a particular yarn I want to use, so it has to be worsted. I think I have 200 and something, 225, something like that yards, which should be fine for a hat. But I just want the, turban style hat. Now I found a lot of like the turban style headbands, but I actually want a hat.
A full hat.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep looking. But also if you guys have any suggestions or know of any patterns, that you think would work for that, send me a message on Ravelry, Instagram, Twitter, or leave a comment, on our YouTube page. If you think you have anything that might fit that requirement.
Absolutely.
But that's really the only thing in my queue is I kind of just want something to go with that yarn, and I want it kind of turban style.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you?
So I actually have 2 different things lined up in my queue. Which I will go into acquisitions here in a little bit, but there is a pattern called the Nova Scotia Wrist Warmers by Drops Design. It was a free pattern on Ravelry. I actually found this pattern after I bought the yarn. I went into my local yarn store and saw some yarn that I just was like, yes, you are mine. Come to me.
It's really pretty. You'll see in a minute.
Yeah, come to me now. And so then I needed to find a pattern for it. I knew in my head I kind of wanted to do some fingerless mitts or something along those lines.
Yeah, because it's tweed, and so it would be really, really good for mitts. So I just kind of went on Ravelry and did a search and came across something that I thought would be really nice for these 2 colorways, and it is. These wrist warmers. They're really cute. Yeah.
So that is the first project, which
these will be your first mitts, right?
These will be my first mitts.
Yeah, I liked doing mitts. I've done 2 pairs so far, and I really enjoyed them. So I think you will too. They're pretty fun, and they're Again, pretty instant gratification because they don't take a long time.
Yeah.
And you, they're really, and they're useful.
Yeah.
Right now because it's cold.
It
and
is
so
cold.
You can wear them and they're fun. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. But I think probably before that, I promised my sister-in-law, Julia, hi Julia, if you're watching this, that I would knit her a cowl. She had purchased, or actually I purchased for her for Christmas this yarn, which is the Fragilus Fibers. The colorway is the Happy Summer Days, and their Cheshire Cat base, I believe, is how that kind of all works out. I don't know if you can see it. It's basically like a big rainbow of colors.
I would just call it Rainbow Bright.
It is kind of Rainbow Bright.
Because I'm an 80s kid. So
there we go.
Yeah.
But she decided she wanted this yarn, and then she went on Ravelry for me and decided on a pattern. So she decided on the Owl Cowl by LaDonna Maxwell. So I need to really
Which
work
involves
on that.
cabling, right?
Which involves some cabling.
Yeah, because I did some owl, this was last year before, it was when
2016.
I did some fingerless mitts that didn't have the thumb. They were just the hand, and then an opening to put the thumb through.
Mm-hmm.
But they had owls, and then you did buttons for the eyes. And that was actually the first time I did cabling.
Yeah. Was
with the little owls, and it was really fun.
Yeah.
And they turned out really cute.
They did turn out really cute. But yeah, so I promised her I would make this for her, but if you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen the picture of me helping to teach her to knit. So, Julia, if you are watching this, there is no reason why you can't knit this yourself now, dear. Mm-hmm. So, if you decide that you want to do this,
no pressure or anything, but you know how to knit kind of now.
So, if you want the yarn for it, I will give it to you, and then I will just kind of move on down my queue.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I will probably get that started on next after I finish these 2 cardigans, because I told her it would be after Christmas, but I don't want it to be like next year before I get it to her.
Right.
So I want her to be able to use it, but that is next in my queue after I get these. So so we're going to start a new segment, you guys, called Kitten's Corner. Kitten's Corner, where we talk about, because this is a kind of not beginner podcast, but we're learning as we go.
We're still learning.
We're learning as we go. So this is going to be our opportunity to discuss what we have learned, and also to seek advice from those more learned than us.
Yes.
So this is where we're going to talk about those little pinpoints.
Little things.
Little
specifics.
Yeah.
So I'll start with the 2 things I've actually learned. Mm-hmm. And I did learn a couple things which I was really excited about. The first one being with the Prima leg warmers, it suggested you use the tubular cast on, which I had not done before. And it's kind of just an invisible cast on where it looks just like part of the ribbing. You don't have that little edge. Because most of the time, if it doesn't require specific cast on, I use the long tail cast on.
Sure. Because
that's how I learned. And that's the first cast on I learned. So that's what I use unless it specifies something else. So it doesn't have that little edge like you get. It looks more like a regular pair of socks that you would get at the store. Mm-hmm. It took me a little bit. I was texting Gal while I was doing it, and I was like, this effing tubular cast on. I think at that point when I texted Gal, I was trying it for the 3rd time. I think it was the 4th time that I finally got it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was really happy once I got it down. I was like, oh yeah, this is cool. This is not too hard. So I was really excited to learn how to do that, because it will probably come in handy when I start to knit socks,
sure.
Which is what we, one of our goals this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. And it's super stretchy, which is why you want to use it. So it's really comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I learned how to do is on the Wonder Woman shawl. I had never done short rows before. And this it was the wrap and turn method. So yeah, I did that and it went really well. I didn't have any problems with it. I did look at a couple YouTube videos, and on how to do it, and I was really happy. It's kind of how we get these little points here. And specifically, I was working these short rows in the red. So to create the points. So
and you're using your little...
I am. I'm using my little peanut butter.
Aww,
So cute.
so cute.
I know. It just makes me happy looking at it. So yeah, I learned how to do that. And again, once you get the hang of it, it's not hard at all. However, the shawl was going great. Until it wasn't. I started the gray because I'm using gray instead of the yellow, and was having a great time. I loved the little V's. It looked so good. And this is where I'm going to need your help out there if you have any help to give. The right side and wrong side in this pattern, I mean, it's always important, but it's really important in this because you're doing left and right increases. And I knew what side I was on because I'm using my little marker, so this is the right side. However, in my head, I got what you do on the right side and wrong side crisscrossed.
Oh no.
So I knew I was on the right side, but I was doing what you're supposed to do for the wrong side. And I did that for 3 rows. And then I realized what I had done, that I had mismatched them in my head. And panicked a little bit, but then I was like, okay, I can just undo this because I know how many rows I've done.
Sure.
So I can just undo it, go backtrack, and then get myself back to where I need to be. So I'm being very careful to undo all these stitches and everything until I get to this one part. And this is the first row that I'm taking apart. Because you're doing, this section specifically that I kind of got confused on was you slip 2 stitches knitwise, and then you knit 1, and you pass both of those stitches over the one you just knit. Well, in undoing that, I slipped those 3. Or I dropped those 3. And I have them on this little holder right here. And maybe it's just because I'm not as experienced with fixing these kind of mistakes. Maybe it's an easier fix than I realize. But, I mean, I know how to fix drop stitches. But what worries me is that the count is so important. And the count changes because where you put these stitch markers, you move them every time you do a row. So it's not like I can just fix these 2 drop stitches and then go about my business. I don't know where I'm supposed to put this marker.
Within those stitches.
And like I said, it might be an easier fix than I realize. I'm just not experienced enough to know exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I don't mind if there's a little fudge in here if it's not perfect. My main concern is I want the increases and decreases to be where they're supposed to be. And that's what I don't want to mess up. So I don't know what to do.
So I'm wondering, you know how many you've dropped, correct?
Yeah, I've dropped 3.
So,
and I think 2 of them are slipped and 1 of them is knit, I think.
So I'm wondering if you took it all the way back, because you had made a comment to me that they line up on each side, that they're the same number of stitches.
I think, yes. I think within, I'll have to look at the pattern again, but I'm pretty sure in these, because there's lots of stitch markers. But I think because this is actually supposed to be the center, and this is the stitch marker right here. So I think the stitch markers, or the stitches from this one to this one, are going to be the same, like the same number from this to this.
So I'm thinking, if that is the case, take it back to here, count those number of stitches in between here and here, and that will tell you where you need that marker in between your stitches.
Well, I've already, I have to go back this way, so then I'd have to do another. Yeah, I've already taken it back this way.
This way, okay.
So I have to take it this way, and then I would have to turn it and take it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I didn't know what to do, and I was disappointed because I know, if nothing else, I can just go back to the red and just take out the gray completely and be back on track, but I would like not to have to do that because this is a lot of stitches, and it was not hard. The gray wasn't hard. There was no short rows or anything. That was only in the red so far. It was just basic increases and decreases, but it was just very time consuming because it's fingering weight, and I think at this point I'm at like 200 stitches or something.
Oh yeah.
So it was just a lot of work that I'd rather not have to redo.
Sure.
So I just put it away for now until I wasn't so frustrated and flustered about it. So I just put it away until I wasn't as worked up and tried to maybe fix it. Worst case scenario, I'll just take out the gray and start from the red and go from there, which is not the worst. I just, would rather not have to redo those hours of work. So, but if you have any suggestions, if you've knitted this pattern before, or just know maybe some tips and tricks in general about how to fix slip stitches and how to maybe figure out your stitch count again, I'd really appreciate the input and help, or just the encouragement of, you can do it, just fix it however you can. You can, you can do it.
Yeah.
So that's really what I've learned and what I'm hoping to fix at this point.
So we had talked about, and I don't know if you're interested in doing it, posting pictures on...
Oh, yeah.
On Insta, maybe doing
Yeah, I can definitely do kind of a close-up of what I'm dealing with at the time and where I was in the pattern. Since the pattern's free, I can kind of give you information on the pattern and it's not, an issue. I can tell you where I was in the pattern and kind of give a pic and post a picture of what I'm dealing with currently. And maybe more experienced knitters might be able to figure it out like that. I don't know. But like I said, I don't mind if if it's not perfect right here. My main concern is that these increases right here, and then this center is right, because you can really see those in the pattern in the finished product, though you're supposed to see that. So I think it would be really obvious if that part was not right.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's it for me.
So we're going to have her posted on Instagram.
I will, yes.
And I think we're also going to create a Ravelry page as well.
We haven't yet, but maybe by the time this goes up, we'll have it.
This video goes up, we'll have a page that you guys can also go to, and we can have a discussion forum. So maybe we can help solve each other's problems.
Yeah.
Problem areas. I don't know that we are necessarily the ones to help solve everybody's problems.
We will try if we can, though.
We will certainly give it a go. But, you know, any information that you can help us with and any information that you can help anybody in the forum with, I'm sure would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, yes,
so
definitely.
We're going to get that started. That way everybody has the opportunity to learn as we go. Yeah. So what did I learn this week? So
you learned some stuff.
I learned some stuff this week. So on this tea leaf sweater, the bind off on this is something called Jenny Stretchy Bind Off, which apparently you use for socks very frequently.
And I've seen that on patterns. I've never knitted anything at this point that I've had to use it, but I have noticed it on different patterns that it has that you should use that bind off.
So I had the opportunity to learn that. So it's just knit a stitch, yarn over, knit a stitch, and then take that last stitch that you just knit and put it back over your first knit stitch with the yarn over, and then you yarn over again. Just repeat the cycle over and over. But it creates this really nice stretchy.
And it does look nice.
It does look very nice. Bind off for this sweater. Now, with that being said, the pattern that I was working with called for you to start the cast off on a wrong side row. However, it also said to do your rows of lace, which is 1 through 8, X amount of times. Well, 1 through 8, if you do 8 is a wrong side row. You finished your wrong side row, so you're starting on a right side row. Shame on me, I wasn't paying attention to what was going on, and as we said, there was some problems with the pattern going through the whole thing, so it was a good thing I was still as far behind as I was. But I noticed as I was about to cast off that somebody had made the comment, well, you said start on a wrong side row. What if we're doing this? And I realized, oh no, going through rows 8 is not what I was supposed to do. So they had actually updated the pattern, you guys, and I printed the pattern initially, and I didn't notice that they had updated the pattern. So I was still working with the old pattern and had gone through the full rows of 8 when I should have stopped at 7. And
I got some text messages that night.
She got some text messages that were very salty. And somebody had posted again in the forum that they had just done an extra row of 1 for the next cycle of 8. So they had done row 1. And that's exactly what I did. I did an extra row. I thought I was done and could cast off, but I ended up having to do a whole other row all the way around, which took a little bit of time.
Yeah, there's a lot of stitches there.
There's a lot of stitches
especially
there
when you think that you're done. That's hard.
I was so upset, you guys. So I learned, keep checking your patterns regularly. If you have already printed them and downloaded them, keep checking them regularly because they can change, particularly if you know they haven't been tested before they came out. And I don't think this one was tested before it came out. So that was a hard lesson to learn, but that is my story.
But, I mean, it looks great. You can't tell that you had to do anything different.
No, it worked out fine. It's just, it added more work than what was necessary. You thought
you were going to be done that night, and it ended up that you had to be done the next day. Which is actually a big deal when you've been knitting on something for weeks and weeks and weeks. For weeks and weeks,
yeah.
And you just want to be done.
I was ready to be done with it, and I had to go into the next day because at that point I was salty, I was so upset, and I was exhausted. And you guys know how it is when you are tired and knitting. That's when you make mistakes. Yeah. So I just called it a night at that point and did it the next day. But it all worked out. I got it done. I got it done by my mental personal deadline, which was by this weekend. So I was super excited to be able to show it off to you guys today. But yeah, so those are the things that I learned this week. Make sure to check your patterns, guys. Yeah. So let's go into acquisitions.
Yay! New
which
stuff!
Which is always fun. New stuff.
We always love new stuff.
We always love new stuff. And we say we have a problem with new stuff.
We do.
What did you get, Kitten?
Well, I'm going to show a couple of things that I did get for Christmas that I wasn't able to show last time.
Sure.
One of my favorite things was from my mom and dad for Christmas, who also got me that cute project bag with the little fairies riding unicorns. But I got this super cute bee needle gauge, and it's made out of wood. And you could pick cherry or maple, so they had 2 different kinds. But it has the what is it, millimeters and
US size.
Yeah, it has US size, and millimeters. So that's really nice. And then it also has a little ruler down here for
so
your
gauge.
If I gauged, that would be really helpful.
I think we should tell this story real quick.
Kitten doesn't gauge.
Kitten doesn't gauge
And
at all.
No, Kitten does not gauge. I've never gauged anything. Well, first off, I don't feel it's necessary to gauge like gloves and hats because I'm like, those will just fit. I don't know. Like, I've never felt the need to like do that.
Says the girl with large thumbs.
Right, fat thumbs. I don't know. But I knit this sweater cowl thing.
Yep.
And was really excited about it because it's kind of cool. It's kind of different.
It's a cute pattern.
It is a cute pattern.
By Knititude.
Yes. It's
I'll put it
called
here.
the Armored Cowl, I think.
Yep.
And it didn't work out. No fault for the pattern. Had I gauged, maybe it would have worked out.
Yeah. It ended up being super big on you. Isn't that the case?
Yeah, it fit my husband. He actually put it on and then decided that he wanted to keep it in case he ever wanted to, like, do a cosplay. I don't know what he's gonna cosplay, but my husband probably weighs twice as much as I do. I used the suggested yarn.
Yeah.
Used the exact yarn. And used the suggested needle. Apparently, that was too big for me.
Yeah.
So I was really mad, and I texted Gal, and I was like, this thing is terrible. I just spent all this time, and it doesn't even fit, and it fits Nick, and I can't even believe it.
So what was my question?
You know what her first question was? Did you gauge it? I was like, what do you think? No, I didn't gauge it.
No, I didn't gauge it.
So, maybe I should gauge.
Maybe.
And if I gauge, I have a cute little bee ruler to gauge with.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's my gauging story.
That is her gauging story. So
And
you guys have to help me convince her.
She
Gauging is
gauges.
kind of
She's
important.
really good.
I do gauge.
Yeah.
But you guys, so the long weekend cardigan, I did gauge on that, but I kind of like fudged just a little bit, I think. So I think it's going to be like swallow me whole. We shall see, because I actually ended up buying more yarn because I was a little afraid that I didn't have enough yarn for it. And so since I bought how much is supposed to be in the size that I'm working on, and I was a little concerned about it, I'm thinking that little fudge that I made was probably not what I should have done. So I think it's going to end up being swallow me whole. But again, with it being, even though this is my first completed cardigan, with it being my first sweater that I really truly started on, not wholly surprised it didn't work out. Learn my lesson. We'll move on from there. But yeah. So gauge is important. Who knew?
Yeah, right? Oh, and this gauge is from the Blackberry Ridge shop on Etsy. And then this is also a another Christmas gift that my parents got me, an Etsy gift card for birthday / Christmas. And I bought this beautiful yarn. It's so girly, and it's
so
like,
not her.
It's so not me. It's pink, purple, speckles of green. It's so cute. It's called Spring Fairy is the colorway. And it's by Celestial Bunny Fibers on Etsy. And she's a fairly new seller. Has beautiful, all her yarn is really, really girly. Beautiful colors. She has a Luna Lovegood inspired one that's really, really pretty.
Oh.
Yeah, it's very, very pretty.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
And it was so cute. Like, the little package had like a a thing of tea with it, and it was so cute. Like, she's a great seller. She has a shop on Etsy, like I said. But this is going to be for my first pair of socks. I do not wear these colors in clothing ever. But if they're under big black boots, no one will know except me. And so, I just couldn't resist the, like, unicorn fairy-ness of it. So, yeah, and it's 75% merino and 25% nylon, and it's fingering weight, of course. But yeah, this is going to be my first pair of socks.
Yay!
Yeah, yeah. And the next thing I got was, I mentioned last podcast that we both have the KnitPicks interchangeable needle set. It comes in kind of a plastic case that has a snap, which is fine. It was fine. It was convenient. I kept it in my knitting bag. However, I have a dog that will chew. Yes, that.
This is what it comes in.
I have a dog that will chew anything that you leave out and you're not watching her. She will chew on it. And she chewed the needle. The needles are fine, but she did chew the plastic case. And so it wasn't going to be functional anymore. It had a hole in it and everything. I was just going to have to throw it away. So I got the KnitPicks interchangeable needle case. There's quite a reflection, but yeah, it's just silver. It says KnitPicks right here. And it zips all the way around, and then it has an opening, and you can see some of my needles here, and then you can also flip it, and it has more spaces for your needles. It has a zipper here, and also on the flip side, and where you can keep your cables and the little mechanisms to, I don't know what they're called.
And
the little
things,
things,
like
turn things. And it actually holds, I almost think you could get like 2 sets in here almost. Yeah. And then I ordered some we both did, ordered some little iron-on numbers from Etsy so you can actually label the little dividers on what size.
Yeah, because I'm kind of weird. I don't like to have to pull out the needle and search the little small, like, numbering there to see what it is.
Well, and also I want mine in order.
Yeah.
And so it would be nice just to have the numbers on here so you can just put them back in their slots when they're done and not have to look at the previous one or the one after to know where to.
Well, particularly when you've got, as you do right now, multiple needles out and in use.
Yeah. I mean, these are the only ones I have in here right now because pretty much I only use my KnitPicks unless I'm using DPNs, because I don't have the DPNs KnitPicks ones. But yeah, this has been really handy though. I really like it. It fits, it's compact enough, and I think it was only like $15, which is pretty good. Yep. So I was really happy with this purchase, and I'm thinking I might get like a cute vinyl decal from Etsy or something like that to put on here just to make it less plain. But I don't know. Maybe, but it's also just,
it a bit.
Yeah, it's just cute like this too.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I've gotten, something me and Gal are also into besides knitting are planners. I wouldn't necessarily say we're planner nerds, but we like planners. And we specifically use, they're called traveler's notebooks on Etsy. If you search for faux dories, which is Midori's traveling notebook. I think that's what Traveler's Notebook.
Well, and so I actually have to differentiate here. She actually uses what's called the Traveler's Notebook size.
You use a different size.
I use the A5 size, which it does make a bit of a difference whenever you're looking at inserts, etc.
Yes, but the same concept basically is that you just order your outside and then you can customize what kind of inserts you want to put. I have a calendar and a notes section in mine. But I recently got a insert specifically to keep track of my knitting. And it's from the company Yellow Paper Company on Etsy. And she makes calendars, meal plans, a lot of different inserts, but she also made a crocheting and knitting one, which is what I got. I put our little logo on here. I just printed it off and then used washi tape on the outside to decorate. But inside, it has, I don't know if you'll really be able to see that, but it has places for you to put all your pattern information. So you can put the title, who the pattern's by, what kind of yarn, what kind of needle size you need, how much you need of your yarn. And then it has a place for a picture, which I just printed off pictures from Ravelry, from my queue or my favorites list, and just, you know, glued them on with a glue stick. And then here in the notes section, I just put whether I had already purchased the yarn and if I already had the needle size, so I would just have all of that handy. It also just kind of serves as like an inspirational type thing. Like if you are in the mood to knit something and you don't really know what you want to knit, you can kind of look through this and see the picture and see if you have everything you need to make it, and go from there. So I just got it last week, so I've kind of just been playing with it and putting it together, but I think I'm really going to enjoy it. It's kind of like Ravelry, but in a paper form, yeah. Which is good for me. I like having things to write on and look at physically. I just find that's better for me than looking at it on a screen. So yeah, I think this will be really fun, and I'm really looking forward to filling it up with things that I want to make or things that I'm working on. And so yeah, that's from Yellow Paper Company. And even if you don't have a planner, you can still just slip it in your knitting bag or your purse or your notebook and just have it as kind of a idea planner slash inspiration type thing. So absolutely. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. So yeah, those are pretty much my acquisitions.
Yeah.
What have you gotten? You've gotten some fun stuff.
I've gotten some fun stuff. So let me talk real quick. I have got in my knit night shawl is currently housed in this Disney Villains bag.
I love it.
Yes, it is so cute. It's by the Silver Shed USA.
And that seller has so many cute bags.
Yeah.
So many cute bags, and you can get them in any size.
Yeah.
She has, I don't know,
multiple
like
sizes.
10 different sizes or something, from notions to like extra large bags.
So this actually, and I've kind of got the knit night shawl sticking out somewhat here, but this actually totally closes up here at the top. Like this.
Has a little drawstring.
And yeah, it's a little roundish bag. Mm-hmm. So cute. I also got this. I got a gauge, or not a needle gauge. Mm-hmm. Needle gauge as well by tangerinedesigns.com. They also have an Etsy shop, which is this cute little fox. I love little foxies.
So cute.
So adorable. So
I think they have like a hedgehog one too.
They do have a hedgehog, and they have it in US sizes, which is what this is, as well as your millimeter sizes. Mm-hmm. So that is two different options. They're not on the same needle gauge, but they are two different options based upon your needs. So that's the second thing that I got. I also got for Christmas the size 19, US size 19, 15 millimeter needles from KnitPicks. I don't have a project set up for these yet. It's just nice to have in your back pocket should you ever need it.
And those are for the interchangeable?
Those are for the interchangeables.
Nice.
Yep, absolutely. And then finally, the last thing I'm going to talk about, which again, in my queue, I had the Nova Scotia wrist warmers. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the yarn that I bought. This
yarn is so pretty. I love it. I love it.
It is by Queensland. It is their rustic tweed collection. And I got it in fuchsia, in the fuchsia colorway. And this one doesn't actually have, I think it's called dark teal, but it's number 118. But I think if you pull it up on Ravelry, it's dark teal. Mm-hmm. So I have these two that, again, I'm going to use in that Nova Scotia wrist warmer, so I'm going to use this instead of the taupe color, and then I'm going to use this instead of the 2 different color stripe. That way my fuchsia can be the hearts as well.
Yeah, it has little hearts in the stripes, so the fuchsia will be the hearts. That'll be really cute. And normally I would be drawn to this teal because this teal blue is one of my favorite colors. But I love this fuchsia. Yeah. Like, it is gorgeous.
It just is
It's so pretty.
It's a rich color, but I've really been oohing and awing over Tweed lately. And these two just, they sang to me, so I picked them up.
I have a good pattern that for a hat that calls for Tweed. Yeah. It's by ffrench, and it's the Quiet Storm hat. And I knitted that. I did not use the right yarn, and it did not turn out like it should have. I should have used something like that.
So I've got a quick question.
What, is this worsted or is it fingering?
Okay, so that's actually what my question is going to be. So when you pull this up on Ravelry, it's listed as a worsted. However, it is listed as a light number 3, which is DK weight. So I am not really sure what the weight is. I just kind of go...
It feels like a DK. It doesn't feel as thick as a worsted.
As a worsted, yeah. So I'm just kind of going with it as a DK, which is why I picked the pattern that I did, because it calls for DK weight yarn.
I've only knit with DK once, but that's kind of, it doesn't feel as thick as worsted.
No. No.
But DK and worsted, like,
they're just so close.
They're very close.
They're so close.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my little funnies.
I know. I might have to... What other colors did they have in this Tweed? Did they have a bunch of colors?
They had a bunch of colors, so you'll have to check
it out. Yeah, because I think I really like that Tweed. I don't have anything in mind for Tweed, but I really do like the look of that that yarn. It's really pretty.
Yeah. So finally, well, it's not finally actually. Next, we're going to talk about our wish list items, which will make this really quick for you guys. Yeah. So I am really interested in some lace needles. Again, working with that Knit Night shawl, I'm using a size 4, which is not probably a lace weight needle size, but it's fingering yarn, and I just find it difficult to use those KnitPicks needles with the fingering weight yarn.
Is it because the tip's not sharp enough?
Tip is too blunt, surprisingly enough. It works fine for everything else, but now that I'm getting into smaller sizes, I really need something that's got a sharper point. Yeah. So here's my question to you guys. What would you recommend for lace weight needles? It's an acquisition that I will probably get by the middle of this year. I really want to get some socks under my belt first before I make a decision on what I want, what I need.
Do you have a preference whether or not they're like wood or...
I don't have a preference. Okay. Do not have a preference at this point. I'm just more interested in what do you guys recommend, because I know you guys have recommendations, things that you love. So let me know in the comments or message me on Instagram what you love, and we'll go from there. But thank you for any input that you have. Yeah. So what's on your wish list?
Mine is actually something that I will need the viewers' help as well, or listeners. I need a large-sized project bag. Not a knitting bag. I have a knitting bag, but I need... All of my project bags are kind of the middle size to smaller. I need one that you can carry a couple skeins of yarn and your project. I also like cute. So the pattern has to be cute. So...
What do you like in a pattern?
I like animal type stuff, you know, cutesy, like I like bunnies and things like that, and kittens, of course. I also like kind of darker, like gothic things, like bats and Halloween type stuff and things like that.
So you tend to be the opposite sides of the spectrum, either super cute.
Yes, it has to be super cutesy or kind of dark. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I also like unicorns, fairies, mermaids, all of that, like, you know, those fantastical creatures, and I really like vampires and, you know, stuff like that. Yeah. So anything with that type of print would be really cool. And also just a large size, good quality bag. If you have any suggestions on websites or Etsy sellers that carry larger size bags, That would be really helpful because I can't, the ones I have are good for shawls. And of course I have a couple smaller ones for socks. But anything kind of larger than a shawl, I don't have anything to keep. So I just keep it in a tote bag, which is fine. But if I can have something kind of cute to carry it around in.
Sure.
So that's really what I'm looking for, is just a cute, larger size project bag. So if you have any Etsy sellers, I like to support handmade, so Etsy would be preferable, but any other websites or anything that carry cute, kind of cool patterned project bags, I'm really interested in.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And last but not least, this is actually the last thing.
Yes.
So we had a drawing for these wonderful wine and cheese inspired stitch markers and progress keepers.
Really cute.
From Judith Price Artworks. Mm-hmm. And we did have a few people respond to that on Instagram. So thank you so much for those that that did respond. And our winner this week is going to be Yarnder Woman. Yay! And I'm sorry I tripped over that. Yarnder Woman.
Yes.
So if you will send us, either myself or Kitten, a private message through Instagram or Ravelry, whichever way you prefer, your contact information, that way we can get this to you. We would love to send this to you.
We'll send it your way. And
absolutely.
Thank you for entering, and keep watching because this is not going to be our only giveaway. We're going to have them in the future. We already have some planned.
Yep.
And we really appreciate everybody who entered, and keep watching because we're going to have more.
So thank you
guys.
Yes,
thank you. And congratulations, Yarnder Woman.
Yes, congratulations. Yeah. So this wraps up this week's episode of Gal and Kitten Knittin'. Again, we really appreciate any input that you have, any comments, questions, just leave them below.
Yes,
send it to us on Instagram or Ravelry. We'd love to hear from you guys. So thank you so much, and we will see you here in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.